Welcome to the SLC Sunday Experience and 4th of July weekend. We're so glad you're here. And we're going to sing our welcome song together. Your soul is welcome here.
That's right. You're in the right place at the right time, just where you are meant to be. It's all about freedom. I am free. Let's sing about it. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. In the right place, I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. Oh my soul is welcome here. Oh my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome. Everybody turn around, say good morning to those that are live streaming. Good morning. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant, and you're in the right place. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. Oh my soul is welcome here. Oh my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome. Oh my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome. I am getting the message. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome here. Oh, yes it is. My soul is welcome here. 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 My soul is welcome. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here.
Our souls are welcome here. Your soul is welcome here, Emma Louise. Good to see you this morning.
Well, see, Ira thinks I'm using this microphone.
Oh.
Ira thinks I'm using this microphone.
Yes.
But I'm actually using this
Use the
this
one.
one. Okay.
Can we put that one back?
Don't mind the microphone. Yeah. Happy 4th weekend. Yeah. How wonderful. Thank you. Thank you.
It's all good. It's all good.
It's all good. We're all free. It's all good. So this morning, especially this morning, on this Freedom Weekend, we want to welcome all of you. Whether you're sitting here with us or watching from a remote location, there is no place like SLC. And we know that no one is here by accident. We are here by
Divine appointment.
And we're so glad you kept this appointment this morning. And we join together with all of those worshiping in stone circles, temples, mosques, churches of every faith, because we truly know that there is nowhere that God is not, and we are all together. And we also honor those of you who've already turned your cell phones off. And we love the ones that are reaching in now to do so. Because we want the calls that come to you now to be of a deeper purpose.
And speaking of that deeper purpose, let us have that direct connection with the presence as we commune in this time of prayer. Reminding ourselves that the true power is always within us. and it's connected to the all-knowing power of the presence and the power of God. And as we make it the activity of our awareness, something within us is transformed so that we become the vessels and the vehicles of pure spirit. So that when you say, when you see me, you see the presence that sent me. So we're grateful for the opportunity to let God be God in us, knowing that God needs us to shine God's light. And as we let God express itself through our life, we are truly free in the spirit. So we go forth this morning knowing that healing is the nature of God. Health and wholeness and vitality and vigor, divine and creative right action, creativity is right there as a power and expression of God, but also is our life. So we go forth this morning knowing all is good in God's neighborhood. Amen. Any birthdays this month? Yes, any birthdays? So, any July birthdays?
July
just
babies,
stand up. We'll give you a special birthday greeting.
Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to ya.
Oh, that was exciting.
And you're not standing up for no reason.
I'm not standing up for no reason because it's my birthday
'Cause
this
it's your
month.
birthday,
No, I
and-
have another reason. I wanted to remind you or tell you, if you do not know, that Soul Light Connection is going to be playing at an event at Southside Park on 4th of July, which is Tuesday. It's called the Interdependence Day. It will be a day from 10 to 2 with music, food, community leaders speaking inspiring words. Ellen Springwind will be there. There will be a building of sand mandala. There will be dance. It will be a very nice event. And Soul Light Connection is kicking it off at 10 o'clock for a half an hour set of some of our favorite inspiring, uplifting, and unifying music. And so we hope to see you there. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, there is a link to this event on our website if you'd like to get more information.
And drum roll, please. Behold. Behold. Yes, it's a new bulletin. For those of you that haven't yet noticed, we are at least 100 sheets of paper down from last week. So I was very excited to see some of my green friends arriving because we're doing our part to have a smaller carbon footprint. So same great information, smaller format. Stay tuned.
As we move to paperless at some point.
Exactly.
We're getting there.
Exactly.
A little baby steps.
Yes.
All right. Also, our Wow Wednesday program is coming up, and there's going to be a guided drumming circle with Dominic Garcia. Salad is going to be at 6, the program at 7. And if you like a more contemplative Wednesday program, you can join Reverend Deborah Phillips in the chapel for a spiritual discussion. That's going to be taking place at Wednesday at 7 o'clock. And for everyone after the Wow Wednesday program, our prayer chaplains will be there, always there to pray with you. And we're going to have the healing circle with a gentle flow of healing. And they'd love to offer this, and they are surely there to benefit you and be a presence of healing for you.
Those chaplains, they're great aura smoothers. So check in for that healing circle. And RJ has a few words for us around the Guys with Guitars Mystic Cafe.
Well, I'm here to promote Guys with Guitars. It's on Friday, July 21st. Paula, is that your birthday or that weekend?
My birthday's the 22nd.
The day after. So now for the Guys with Guitars, we do this cabaret style, and so we're selling 100 tickets. And we just sold 13 tickets after the first service, And as you can see, we've got a bunch of tables sold out, but now one more table is now red and another table is half red. So there's only 3 tables left, which is about 24 tickets. I urge you to buy your tickets today. This will be sold out in an easy and relaxed manner, in a healthy and positive way. We're going to sell this thing out in its own perfect time, which may be today. Are you going to Guys with Guitars? Parsley on Tom Christman's orders. Remember tickets when you're in the courtyard, and you'll be a true love of mine.
All righty. I think no one can sing a promotion as well as RJ.
I'm feeling a Mystic Cafe featuring RJ coming up one of these days.
Well, also want to remind you that our World Relief Community Service Summer Project continues through the end of July. You can see inserts in your bulletin that has more information, and you can be a warm, welcoming presence of those who are coming outside the country to the United States. And I believe there's some information on the table in the breezeway for those who would like to sign up and be part of that.
There's lots of information. And I have a question for everybody. I want a show of hands here. How many have done your affirmations for today? How many of you have done your affirmations? Okay. How many of you have quit doing your affirmations because they're just not working? Nobody? Nobody. Okay. So if you'd like to switch that around, what we know is that science shows that if you have a different belief that is buried subconsciously, no amount of affirmations is really going to shift that. Now, Reverend Deborah Phillips is offering a program coming up, and it is thought belief alignment. And so see your bulletins for details and the dates for that. It's a great opportunity to learn 7 simple steps to really create your thought belief alignment. So don't miss that.
Also, we'd like to let you know that you should save the date for Friday, August the 4th or Saturday, August the 5th to be photographed for our 20th anniversary church directory. We're going to do a church directory. If you want to be part of that, so just set that aside for your opportunity to have your photos. It's free, and you can get an 8x10 photo for participating. And there's also an opportunity if you'd like to have a new family portrait. The organization that we're working with will provide that for you as well. You can see one of our women of spirit at the table in the courtyard for more information. So that's coming up.
I think you can bring pets too.
Yes,
just
you
an
can include your
FYI. Well-mannered pets. So Spiritual Life Center is going to host a really wonderful screening of the film Being Mortal, and that's by Dr. Atul Gawande. It's a wonderful conversation around how we are with our medical professionals at the stage of need for health, as well as transition time of our friends and our family. It's a powerful conversation. I encourage you to come attend this free event. It's also sponsored by YOLO Hospice. We'll have the screening of the film and then a question and answer facilitated conversation following that. Don't miss it. It's a really wonderful opportunity.
Also, a mini retreat with Jan Garrett and J.D. Martin entitled Heart of the Vision Quest is coming on Saturday, August the 26th. And that's going to take place between 1 and 4 p.m. It's a wholehearted soul retrieval through centering, mirroring, medicine wheel teaching, created sacred space, and practicing the visioning process itself through the time-honored traditions, and music will be woven throughout it. So there's more information, I believe, in your bulletin about that.
There's also something I figured out, and I've just recently figured out how I can be a badass.
I take it that you've read the book.
No, I got a hold of Celia's roller derby girl helmet.
Okay.
So, I figured I haven't read the book, and uh-oh.
I think we have a roller derby girl coming through at
There
any
she
moment
is.
now.
Okay.
That looks like Celia skating in right.
Whoa. Whoa. Can I hide the helmet now? Celia.
Louise, you do not need my roller derby helmet to be a badass.
I don't?
No, you already are a badass. We are all born a badass, but we go through our life picking up these fears and these obstacles that we create for ourselves. So by being a badass, it's when you push past that fear and you connect to source energy.
Well, I just did by stepping out from behind James.
I know it can be scary.
Because you look a little intimidating. So, all right.
So I'll tell you what, I'm gonna give you my badass button so you can always remember that you are a badass in exchange for my helmet.
Okay, deal. All right.
So on a side note, this badass class is actually part of my personal project of trying to bring younger butts into our seats, as you could probably tell. It really takes all of us to share this wonderful class. I mean, it's totally life-changing. You're gonna actually be hearing a really great story about that coming up. But fun fact, Facebook actually thinks badass is a bad word. And so making it something that we can advertise has been a little interesting. And it only takes one share from one of us to spread the word. Actually, Janae did that, and we have like 3 signups just from her one share of asking people if they wanted to take the course with her. So give her love. So if you could just take a moment to share it, it also holds a whole lot more weight if one of your nieces and nephews or that random kid at the end of the street who happens to be a Facebook friend sees you say, hey, this is really cool and I want to go check it out. So please share. We really appreciate that.
And that's right. So if you're interested in pushing this right here, this exclusive badass button, you can do so in the courtyard at the cashier table when you buy your badass book and your entry into that class. So are you ready? Are you ready?
You are a badass.
All right, please help me.
Thank you. Okay.
You got it. I think this is only at SLC.
And if you're here for the first time, I'm sorry. Yes.
You're in the right place at the right time.
We are like this.
Okay, we want to acknowledge our ambassadors and prayer chaplains. We need a little prayer right now. So please stand. Our ambassadors wear rainbow ribbons, and they're here to offer a warm welcome and answer your questions and point you in the right direction on how you can connect with our activities and programs. And the chaplains are doing the very important work of holding confidential prayer for those who are going through their journey of life, whether it's a joy or a challenge, and they're wearing the white stole. So we thank them for being here, and they'll be in the sanctuary after the service as well in the courtyard to those who are looking for prayer today in their life.
And if you're here for the first time, besides that apology, we have a few things for you. Pretty soon we're going to hand out a welcome card. And on that welcome card, if you fill that out, it's a great ticket to get connected here in all the ways that you want to. So at this point, and if you fill it out, we would love for you to drop it in the at the welcome table and in the offering basket. And I'm getting there. Wow! Now, first timers, if you would raise your hand.
Just raise your hand. Any first timers here today?
Leave it high. Yay. So.
And we have a chalet for you in addition to the card. And on the chalet, we ask you to wear that and to get that special Spiritual Life Center greeting. And the chalet has that tag that says, we believe we are spiritual beings having a human experience, and there are many paths to the one God. And so we thank you for joining us today on your path, and we want to greet you and appreciate you. So I invite you to greet any of the newcomers that are here today, as well as each other, and know that it is magnificent because you look good.
and we invite you to stay standing as we get into our group song together. There was a time in my life I thought I had to do it all for myself. Didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. Didn't know the love of God was at hand. But now I have to say, if you feel discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day, you've got to let go. Just let it all go. And this is what you have to say. Come on! I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release, I let go, and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I see the light. I am free. I am free. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here. Yes, I'm only here for God. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Please be seated.
Yes. And now, as we prepare to enter into the contemplative portion of our service, I invite you to read along with me our vision statement. Spiritual Life Center is a loving, vibrant family that welcomes home all people and accepts everyone, no exceptions, weaving ancient spiritual traditions with emerging wisdom. We cultivate a spiritual deepening with the divine, each other, and our planet.
And now, in preparation for meditation, I invite you to take a nice deep breath and settle into your chair. Let freedom ring in my soul. Let freedom ring. Together. Let freedom ring. Let freedom ring. Let freedom ring in my soul. Let freedom ring. Let freedom ring. Let freedom ring. Let freedom ring in my soul. Let freedom ring. I am free. I am free to hear your voice. I am free to make a choice. I am free. to be just who I am. Let freedom ring. Let freedom ring. Let freedom ring in my soul. Let freedom ring.
As we move into this time of meditation, let's breathe together. Breathing in and breathing out. With each breath, relaxing. With each breath, relaxing your body, relaxing your mind. Let freedom ring in my soul. I am free here to be just who I am. And who you are is so much more than this physical body. You are a child of the living God, of love incarnate. This love is fully present in every moment, right here, right now. In this very moment, the love of your Creator, of your God, is pouring love into all of humanity. Breathe that in, deep into your bones, into every cell of your being. We open and we receive that love. On this Independence Day weekend, we honor the land of the free. America is considered the melting pot of the world. We are a beautiful mixture of colors and cultures and faiths, a rich fabric of diversity. And we celebrate this diversity with deep gratitude. Thank you, God, for the consciousness of our forefathers, those who held the belief in freedom to choose. 241 years after our formal independence, we join together in this sweet sanctuary, surrounded by our spiritual family, worshiping you, God, in a way that our forefathers dreamed of. Their divine idea as manifested here among us in such a beautiful way. And we honor that freedom to worship, that freedom to be for all. As children, many of us learned the Pledge of Allegiance. We spoke meaningful words as we honored our flag and our country. One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. One nation, under God, one God, worshipped in many ways, indivisible, incapable of being divided, no matter how divided we appear. We're indivisible, one, with liberty and justice for all, not for some, not for most, but liberty and justice for all. This is what we celebrate this week: our independence, our freedom, our oneness for all. True freedom is knowing this oneness. It's experiencing the love of our being. May we all be free. As we move into the silence, we take a moment to rest in the freedom of our Creator, of our God. Thank you, God. As we go forth, love through us. May freedom ring. Amen.
Hang on to the world as it spins around. Just don't let the spin get you down.
Things are moving so fast. Hold on tight and you will last.
Keep your self-respect,
Keep your self-respect.
your inner pride. Get yourself in gear. You better keep your stride.
Keep your stride. Never mind your fears. Brighter days will soon be here. Take it from me, someday we'll all be free.
your head up high. Lay your dreams right up to the sky. Sing your greatest song, and you keep going, on. Take it from me, someday we'll all be free. Said it won't be long, no. Just wait and see. Someday we'll all be free. Oh, just wait and see. Someday we'll all be free. Someday we'll all be free. Oh, yes, someday. Yes, I know. Someday we'll all be free. We'll all be free. Someday we'll all be free. Say, be free to love, be free to believe, be free to have faith, be free to worship, be free as one, be free as one. We'll all be free. Someday, today, we're all free. Today, right now, said we're all free. Today, we're all free. Today, we're all free. Today, we're all free. Someday, and right now. If you believe it, put your hands up in the air. Say you can wave them like you just don't care. Because we're free. We're free. We're free. We're free. We're free in love. Oh. We're free in love. Said we're free. We're free. Say we're free in the spirit. Yes, we are. Come on. We're free. We're free. Today. We're free. We're free. We're free. Come on. Today. We're free. Hey. Someday we'll all be free. Someday we'll all be free.
Well, I pretty much think that says it all in song. I think you're here for your appointment. You could just say, I'm here for my appointment with God. God is always on time. And so am I. Let's just settle into that realization that we are free right now, no matter what we're going through or growing through. As I was preparing this week, I was watching a movie that came out, I think, a few months ago. It's entitled Birth of a Nation, the new version. And it's about the slave rebellion of Nat Turner that took place in 1800s. And the movie opens up with a ritual of a young Nat Turner being brought to the elders in the community. And he had some special markings on his body that indicated, at least to them, that he was special. There was something about him that was there to make a difference during that era. And during that ritual, the chief pointed out that, this young man, he was considered to be wise. He was identified as being a prophet, a leader with great courage. And he was going to give him many titles, and he was going to have these titles that would last with him for a lifetime. And he said, one of the titles that can never, ever be taken away from you is that you are a child of God, and therefore you have something special to offer. And as I was watching the movie, I was reminded that there's a part of us. We may call it the God self, the Atman present, the Buddhic mind, the Christ within, the divine. It's changeless. And even though we may be physically in bondage in some way, shape, or form, we realize that we're always free whenever we allow that part which has never been hurt, never been harmed, never been endangered in any way to have its way with us. And I believe when we live from that realization, when we act from that realization, when we speak from that space, just as Nat Turner did, we are always free, even if we may be physically confined. So today I was coming with the title of Godlines to Spiritual Liberation. At first it was going to be guidelines, but I thought Godlines. Yeah, that's a good Godlines. I don't know quite what that means, but we'll figure it out. But there's a scriptural reference that we're all familiar with, I'm sure we've heard, that says, "Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free." And I believe that all of nature, all of God, is conspiring for the freedom of the individual in order that it may unloose its own energy, in order for the energy of God to be expressed through us. That all of nature, all of the universe is conspiring for our spiritual freedom so it can be expressed through and as us. So today we're going to explore this dynamic thing called freedom or spiritual liberation. We understand that sometimes we hear people say, we all have freedom of choice. We have freedom of choice. And I say, well, maybe we do, but maybe we don't. Because choice is a function of our awareness. If we're not aware, we really cannot choose. We're merely reacting to the external circumstances that change and comes and goes. I remember years ago, when I was in college, I had a classmate that I didn't think I liked. So how it came up about, to kind of give you the backdrop on that, is when I was much younger, my parents would send us, to the south to be on the farm. And, I was kind of quasi-city, so this was something different for me. We had pigs and chickens running around, and they would be wrenching the chicken necks, heads off, and they'd be running around like they were still alive, and we'd have to go and get the eggs from the chickens in the morning. He even taught me how to do cows. I said, I definitely know I'm not going to be a farmer. But the whole idea is that there were some folks in the community that were a little hostile toward us. And we were out, and they were riding around in, their trucks and yelled a few words toward us that were, not becoming of an enlightened being. And I remember fast forwarding many years later, and I was in a class, and there was a classmate in there who kind of reminded me of those folks. He had a southern accent, and, he dressed a little different. He had his own pickup truck. And so based upon my own experience, I had an interpretation of him and what he was about. And I was locked into that interpretation until, I had to kind of work with him in a group. And I found out a little bit later on, he was actually cool. He was all right. In fact, he was so cool, he was brilliant. I used to take a class back then, it used to call economic statistics. It was really a hard class. And that's something that you have to spend like hours, at least for me, I had to spend hours on the weekend just trying to figure out how to do this. And he was so good that he could go from class A to class B, read the assignment between classes, and know more information than anybody else who studied the whole weekend. So he became my friend. But the whole idea was that I had locked myself into a belief system that was blocking me from the freedom of choosing a different way of interacting with this individual. Often unconsciously and sometimes consciously, we see ourselves, we see humanity and other people from our history only, from our experience only. And we often live from our past hurts, our past shames, our past denials, and we bring that into the present moment and react to things of the world, and we're not really making free choice. And so we're not really expressing the freedom that we have. When we live that way, we end up regurgitating what always has been, rather than exercising true freedom of choice to explore new possibilities, new expressions, what the universe has in store for us. I think I ran across a Zen story. And a bird had gotten entangled in some wires, and someone had freed the bird. It was free. So it could float through the sky, could get insects for its lunch and do like all the other birds did. But this particular bird had a habit. Every time a negative event took place in its life, it picked up a stone. It was kind of like recreating all the negativity it was having in its life, and it would pick up a stone from the ground. And so after a while, it started picking up a whole bunch of stones every time something bad or seemingly bad happened in its life. And he never forgot about these things. And years had passed, and it was still picking up these stones, remembering the past, remembering the negative things. And after a while, it became more and more difficult for this bird to fly because it had accumulated all these stones. Now, I don't know how it accumulated so many stones. It's just a little bird, but it's just a story. And the bird was free all of this time. But after a while, it couldn't walk the earth anymore. It was unable to move like it could before, and it couldn't catch any more of the insects to keep it alive, and eventually the bird died and starved to death. Again, it's only a story, please. But the whole idea was that it was picking up its past and holding on to its past, and therefore limiting its freedom. There's a statement in Ecclesiastes that says, what is was, what was will be, and God requireth our past. Speaking of an eternal truth, that without the power and the presence and the love of God being active in our consciousness right here and right now, oftentimes we were doomed to repeat the past over and over again, and we're not spiritually free. Emily Cady, who wrote the book Lessons in Truth, which is a foundational New Thought book, in her chapter on bondage or liberty, which says sooner or later every person must learn to stand alone with his or her God. Nothing else avails. For those of going, I think for the Q process, when I practiced it myself, when it began to make me become aware of what is it that I'm bonding myself to, that I'm reacting to, rather than responding with a new possibility of how life can show up. Sometimes we hold on to that past and it limits us. Individuals holding on, trying to keep the status quo. This being the 4th of July weekend, I recall a story about one of the rebels who was getting ready for the British to come, and he had his plan and when he was going to get away. And he knew that when he was going to get away, he was going to jump on his horse, and he was going to ride to the lake or the river, jump into the canoe, and paddle away. to save himself. And so the red coach finally came. And so he got on his horse, followed his plan, got to his canoe, and he just started rowing and rowing and rowing and rowing all night long, trying to get away. And then he fell asleep, and the sun came up, and he looked around, and he realized he hadn't moved at all. He was still in the same spot. And he realized he forgot to untie the boat from the deck. Sometimes we're just holding on, staying in that same spot in our life. But understand, we live in a progressive universe that's conspiring for our freedom. And we want to be able to let go of that so we can have the freedom to create new possibilities in our life. And if we're unwilling to progress by choice, then stagnation becomes our lot. And it leads to sometimes pain in our life. And pain is simply an effort it takes to hold on to an old thought form. You know, Eckhart Tolle wrote something to the effect that the past has no power to stop you from being present now. Only your grievance about the past can do that. There was a woman named Elizabeth Smart who was kidnapped in the early 2000s and eventually became a correspondent for the ABC News, and she covers missing persons. But when she was 14 years old, she was abducted by a gentleman. And for 9 months, he hid her and subjected her to cruelty for a long period of time. And eventually she became a correspondent for the local TV station. And she said that my contributions will be focused on looking ahead and not looking back on my own story. She said it's easy to let ourselves be defined by the stories in our life. People have done it, and they've stayed stuck in the traumatic experiences. It says she would wake up every day, sometimes bitter and guarded. And she would try to maybe stay in that victim identity, but eventually she began to let that go, no longer rehashing what happened over and over again. Because she realized that when we focus on the bad things we've been through, it's nearly impossible to recognize when we're going through something good. It's even more challenging to create something good with what we have because we're not free. You know, I one time shared about a gentleman that realized that he had to change something within himself in order to experience freedom, even though he was not physically free. He had been convicted of a crime he did not commit. And he was in jail for 17 years. And when he came out, he had a very Buddhic smile, and he was very joyous and happy-go-lucky. And they asked him, how is it that he can do that after being in prison for 17 years for something that was unjust? And he said to the reporter that he was only in prison for 3 years. The first 3 years he was bitter and angry, unforgiving, had a lot of negative energy toward what had happened to him in his life. And then one day he had a revelation. And he had to ask himself, what within myself do I may need to clean up in order to free myself from this behavior or belief about life? And that's the result of that revelation. He started helping out the other prisoners in the prison, and he walked out of the jail a free person, even though he had been physically imprisoned. Sometimes we have to transform within ourselves in order to have that freedom. Sometimes, I don't know if you ever have an individual in your life that, you can't get along with, maybe have a prejudgment about. And what I realized that we're locking ourselves up to our own bondage because we're seeing that person from a wrong perspective. And someone told me we're never at war with another person. We're at war with our concept of them. Our concept of them. So true freedom requires that we just go within and see what within ourselves is blocking us from seeing rightly from the highest point of view. No longer latching on to our history and limiting our freedom of choice. One of the things, if we want to have freedom, is no longer complain about our past. I don't know anybody who does that, but somebody told me that complaining is the inability to see God. if we do that, if we complain about our past, it will become our future. Let me tell you about my past. Let me tell you about my future at the same time. But we look at our past, whatever we've had that doesn't jive to who the highest and best of who we are, and we use that as a stepping stone, not a tombstone, but a stepping stone to move, to be in alignment with God's intention for our life. And probably one of the most important things to really let go and be free is practice the power of forgiveness. And we talk about that a lot, but we can never overemphasize it, because I think Jesus talked about two big things. Number one, the power of forgiveness, and number two, that the kingdom of heaven is within us. That's why he said we must forgive 70 times 7, which isn't like we count 70 times 7 times, but it's a continuous process of letting go, letting go, letting go. Gary Zukav, who wrote The Seed of the Soul, which we'll use as our Faith in Action book, wrote that an authentically empowered person is one who forgives. He said forgiveness is not a moral issue, it's an energy dynamic. Forgiveness does not carry the baggage of an experience. We're no longer carrying that with us. What I realize that oftentimes that we don't know that forgiveness is always for us. I was talking to a guy one time that he had a beef with another individual, and he had a lot of anger and unforgiveness and resentment, and after 10 years, he decided he was going to approach the person just to release the past. And when he tracked him down, the guy didn't even remember who he was. It's always for us. It's never for the other person. Well, we're warming up in here, so I'm going to try to bring it to a close. This being celebration of our independence. And we know it began with our American Revolution. The American Revolution, of course, was two parts. The first part was separating from England. The second part was birthing that which contributed to the founding of a new country, a new birth. I think in our own lives, we're here to birth something new. There's a lot that we're going through in our country and our world. Lots of separation, lots of incivility, a lot of us versus them. But I think we need to go with Thomas Jefferson said, we must always go back to first principle, first cause, the presence and the power and the love of God. He also said something to the effect that, he trembles that our country, is always subject to truth or justice, and that justice is never blind. And he was talking about the fact that when the country was founded, that many of the individuals didn't really live up to the ideas and ideals of what the Constitution and the Bill of Rights were about, that many were slaveholders, and that somehow the justice would be somehow brought to the country. But I realized that he was telling everybody that, they were not saying that here is a perfect nation. They were saying here is the blueprint for a perfect nation. Go forth and make it happen. And the teaching that we're part of, the truth teachings of the ages, are really that part of the body of thought that's called the mature teachings. For that part of the population that realizes that it is we who must change and not the world. It is we who must change and not the government. It is we who must change. And as we weave ourselves into the fabric of our world, being in the world but not of it, this community, this country, and this world is transformed. When we become willing to be that which change what we want to see, which is a choice we always have when we're in our spiritual freedom, our spiritual liberation, we grow from God's glory to greater glory and become agents of transformation. Because as we change, as we grow, as we expand, as we identify our true nature and being, as we activate that, we become the vanguard in the very society in which we are living, because the choice is ours when we're in our spiritual freedom. I think America is calling for all of us to grow up. And we need to grow up and live the way the country began. It states on our money, in God we trust. For in God, that's where all the power is. This is where the truth is. And it is the truth that liberates us and sets us free. Happy Independence Day. Peace and blessings. Musicians are coming back in, and as we wait for them, let us prepare for our giving. Giving from a consciousness of absolute freedom and unlimitedness nature of the presence of God that we are. Knowing that as we give, that we not only support this community to help and transform lives, but we take that percentage of tithes that we support other organizations in the community to lift us up. Because whenever anyone is lifted up, we all are lifted up because we are one in the Spirit. So take your tithe and your love offering, your gift, and symbolically raise it to the heavens. And if you've given in any other way, by mail or electronically, credit card, which you can do in the courtyard as well, know that you're in this flow, this unshakable nature that God is, that whatever we give comes back to us in so many ways. So with that awareness and that freedom and that expansiveness, let us say our offertory blessing. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circulate. Thank you, God.
Feel free, hallelujah. Feel free, more power to you. Feel free, whatever you do, you know you can't get it wrong for long. Feel free to keep on moving. Feel free to find your groove, 'cause you are the life of the party. Feel free.
If you're lonely,
Feel free to make yourself at home, and in the middle of a crowd, feel free to be alone. Whatever you need, relax. Don't get yourself all down in the facts. Feel free, hallelujah. Feel free, more power to you. Feel free, whatever you do, you know you can't get it wrong for long. Feel free to keep on moving. Feel free to find your groove, 'cause you are the life of the party. Feel free. There's a wide world waiting, so feel free to help yourself. And if you get stuck, it's alright to try something else. In the middle of a crisis, try this. One breath at a time, and you can't miss. Feel free, hallelujah. Feel free, more power to you. Feel free, whatever you do, you know you can't get it wrong for long. Feel free, keep on moving. Feel free to find your groove, 'cause you are the life of the party. Feel free.
come on, sing it for me, y'all.
No need to be hand cranking the universe. We
Hey,
got special angels everywhere you go.
everywhere we go,
Something holds our thoughts, keeping
everything alive.
Don't you know that the
Rivers flow, the grasses grow on and on. Feel free, more power to you. Feel free, whatever whatever you do, you know, can't get it wrong for long. Feel free.
Come on, help us.
Keep on moving. Feel free to find your groove, 'cause you are the life of the party. Feel free.
One more time.
Hallelujah. Feel free.
Come on.
More power to you. Feel free. Whatever you do, you know, you can't get it wrong. Can't get it wrong. To keep on moving. Feel free to find your groove, 'cause you are the life of the party. Feel free. Hallelujah. You are the life of the party.
Feel free, because we are free. We are free in the Spirit. And so we bless the tithes, the offerings, knowing they're going to bless the givers and the receivers, our community, and ultimately our world, because we are one in that Spirit. And so we say so in the name and the nature of the Spirit of the living God. And so it is, and so we let it be. Amen. And with that, let us join together and sing our peace song.